Okay, so good evening, everyone, participants. This side, Madhuri, your host for Krishi Manthan 30 Days International Summer School Training Program. It is India's largest training program, jointly organized by Utkarsh VDKV Kola Incubation Center and Shri Konda Lakshman, Telangana State Horticulture University, Hyderabad. So, in this, we will cover 25 plus modules related to agriculture and agripreneurship. The stakeholders, participants of this program are students, scientists, working professionals, farmers, and industry person. So we will discuss each topic in the detail: drone technology and agripods, hydroponics and polyhouse technology, rooftop farming, microgreens, saffron farming, etc. So I welcome you all without taking much of your time. So I welcome our esteemed guest, Manish sir. So, Manish, I would like to share some of his achievements and with you participants. So, Manish S. Bhandari, sir, is a scientist of forest and genetics and trait improvement at Forest Research Institute, Dehradun. He is interested in the species distribution mapping and modeling population genetics and tree improvement. His research aim is to explain the diversity and distribution pattern of forestry trees on the basis of modern analytical tools of genetics, bioinformatics, and biostatics. So he has more than 13 years of experience in forestry research and published 85 research papers in various international and national journals of repute. So if I talk about his achievements or awards, he is qualified in UGC-NET, JRF, National Eligibility Test, Junior Research Fellowship 2007, subject like sciences, national level examination. He has also qualified GATE. He's qualified in ARS NET, subject genetics, university fellowship during the first year of PhD. So I welcome you, sir, here.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I am audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Uh, yes. Thank you, Dr. Madhvi. I hope the participant will learn brief about our forestry species, which are very important in our research sector and giving us the glimpse of our natural forest or view of our biodiversity, particularly in relation to the Uttarakhand, and then we are experiencing our biodiversity in rich array with vast array in the Indian subcontinental climatic conditions. So, can we start my talk?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, I am sharing my slides.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, slides are visible to each and everyone.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, so we will proceed. Okay, so if you see the national forest genetic resources in India, we have to tag these resources. We have to predict these resources. We have to map these resources. So since we have various kind of forest types in our country, and forest types has already been mapped by the Forest Survey of India, but species level distribution scenario or species level prediction scenario are not available in our country. So we as a premier institutes from India will carry out this exercise from 2016 to 2022 in the Uttarakhand region, and we will provide you the glimpse of those. And in the second phase of the program, we are covering the entire India, in which FRI is particularly focusing on the states of Haryana, Punjab, and Uttar Pradesh. So at present we are means taking into consideration around 50 forestry species which are very important to us, and in accordance to the definition of how Food and Agriculture Organization Rome. So these forestry species must be have some economic value, some ecological aspects, some livelihood support to the people, and these species we have taken as a priority species for the mapping in the first phase, first round of uh, uh, the genetic resource mapping of our country. So you can see the background of our slides, that we have a quantification of NFGR, National Forest Genetic Resources, then species distribution modeling and its applications. Some basic definitions are GR species and its distribution pattern, overview of the methodological flowcharts, how we will carry out all these exercises, and the result criteria as well as results, and then we have to summarize your conclusive part for the entire scenario. So if you see the background of this work, in if you can see that Biodiversity International Organization is there. There is European Forest Resource
Sir, there
Program
is
is
a problem
there.
with the network issue.
Pan-European strategy for genetic conservation of forest resources are there. So you can see there worldwide, beach resource mapping is very important, because in the near future or in the future, we have to or my voice is not clear to. Hmm. It is going well right now, or it is having some problem.
So there is some network issue, like we can't see you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now it is okay.
Yes, sir. It is okay now.
Okay. So I am starting giving you the background of these program actually, all across the globe, particularly in the European Forest Genetic Resource Program. The species need to be mapped or to be means quantified, so that the biodiversity of a particular country should be taken into account to means to be competitive in the scenario of the global biodiversity framework. So you can see here that if you see here is the second bulletin of this European Forest Genetic Resource Program, carry out the assessment of genetic conservation status for pilot species based on European Union forestry GIS based data. Third one point is the carry out a review of knowledge on the genetic diversity of the species. So they have taken around 7 to 8 species which are wide distribution across the range, and then carrying out all these kind of prediction mapping or forming maps, and then outlaying the diversity scenario status of a particular species all over the globe, particularly in the Europe. So these kind of scenario must be very important for each and every country. And with this background, we have initiated the quantification of FGR. So it will talks about the wealth of our country, right? Second one is the current status lead to the future conservation priority of the species. If some species get wiped out, so these species need to be taken into account with the present conservation status or present scenario of distribution, right? Third one is the assessing and monitoring the health of a species. If a particular species is declining very fast in a particular habitat, so these kind of things we have to taken into consideration so that it could not be enlisted into the IUCN list. So these kind of things we have to taken into consideration. So global sustainable developmental goals, we have to be in at par with the research, or to meet the in means the scenario of the world goals on the sustainable management of the forest genetic resources. Geopolitics for research interchange. So since if we would like to have some some resource exchange, then we must at least have the quantification of our data, that this much resource we are having and this much resource you are having, so we can interchange for the sake of the sustainability of our livelihood, or to enrich our knowledge, right? Ecosystem health, you can see there is water, rainfall, temperature fluctuations all across the globe in the present climate change scenario. So ecosystem health is very very important. uh, Livelihood support, along with the people who are residing near to the forest area, or who are depending upon these forest resources, particularly the NWFP product, non-wood forest products. So we have to see that the harvest should be legally framework, and excessive or extraction of wood, or the excessive taken out of the resources should not be there from the forest. So integrating different kind of research prospects like medicines, drugs, and human life, because as you can see here, that forests are very very important, not only for the climate change scenario, not only for the livelihood support, but they are the rich sources of the medicinal plants, herbs especially used in the medicines, or life-saving drugs against the human lives, against the any kind of scenario, right? Accounting indirect way of wildlife richness and other faunal species. So you know very well that if a particular forest is having a particular kind of species, then we know that this particular species is associated with these kind of faunal species. Maybe rhododendron is associated with some important birds. So we can see that if rhododendron diversity is quite high in our country, so these particular birds, or maybe some birds or insect populations, are very very prosper populations would be found out for the other faunal species also. So it can be become an indirect indicator of species biodiversity. So you can see here species distribution models. What are species distribution models? So these are habitat models, or climate envelope models, or we can say ecological niche model. So they will having the that kind of scenario in which one species is generally mapped across its distribution range with the help of taking the some bioclimatic parameters into account. And along with these bioclimatic parameters, we have a species geospatial data like latitude, longitude, altitude. Along with this, we have a phenological data, we have a satellite data, and all these things we merge together to carry out this species distribution model for a particular species. So you can see here, data source requires conservation mapping tools, innovative GIS based approach, and resource inventory. And what we are now using, maxent model, that is maximum entropy distribution model. If you see, a lot of research papers are carrying out for the and this maxent modeling techniques introduced by Phillips et al. In 2006, and around more than 5,000 research papers are present for this species across the globe in different sector, not only in the forestry sector, but in agriculture sector, in faunal diversity, in the fish biodiversity, again for the bird diversity, insect pest population diversity. So this model is quite heavily used for the species distribution mapping scenario. So what is the importance of this model? That is, it uses only presence only data. It uses open access softwares, right? And novel model to predict understory species. So sometimes what happened, through the satellite signature, we are taking into the consideration only the canopy or the topmost trees of heavy trees which are present in along all the locations in the forest, but understory trees or understory shrubs could not be mapped. So it could be used for determining the habitat suitability of the understory species also. So how HDM works? So you can see here, these are the environmental variables. Different kind of environmental variables are there. We have a species observation data, and uh, we when we correlate with the statistical relationship, then predictive model will develop the biodiversity maps, and this is the probability of species occurrence. And based upon this probability, we tends to highlight the habitat of a particular species with highly suitable habitat, moderately suitable habitat, or generally suitable habitat, right? So you can learn this more in the scenario of this Dr. Babak Naimi, so who introduced or gives the glimpse of this model, how it works in its YouTube video. So application of species distribution maps. So what are its basic applications? So generating the eco distribution maps of a species, predicting expansion of a species, predicting the effect of climate change across the geographical distribution and its habitat, possible habitat, effective tool for planning, conservation, and management activities, identification the area of endemics with regards to the habitat fragmentation, deforestation, habitat distortion, or some climatic change scenario, if possible, will be there, right? Provide habitat suitability for the rehabilitation of the species, right? And scientific advancement and broaden horizon of habitat ecology and its biological significance. So there are n number of applications of species distribution model in which we what is the purpose of carrying out all these activities. We will make sure that all these activities could be taken into consideration simultaneously while running this model for a particular species. So with this having background information, if you see conservation genetics means we have that kind of prosperity of an individual in which we would like to conserve our species through highlighting its gene pool data, right? And gene pool data is basically lies on the DNA of an individual or DNA of individuals of a different populations of a species, right? So we need to conserve the DNA, or here it means to say that we need to conserve our uh, different forestry group classes based upon their diameter range, diameter at breast height. Generally we tend to highlight this point. So it will define the age group of a particular species or particular individual in case of the forestry. So you can see here conservations linked with linked with the genetics and biodiversity policy. We means it is the introduction of genetics at the loci level or at the DNA level. We tend to conserve the biodiversity. Genetic resources. What are genetic resources? Genetic resources are generally based upon their genetic diversity. Here, genetic diversity means the diversity of a DNA or diversity of a allelic pattern or diversity of gene or genotype of a particular species across the range of distribution of its habitat. Means if a particular species is existing in one forest type, and we have to tend to conserve its uh, whole population, then we are basically focusing on its genetic diversity. Generally high and low levels of genetic diversity is there, denoted by he. He is the statistical parameter which will giving you the glimpse of the expected heterozygosity level, and it will comes out in the form of the allelic pattern of a species. So He generally, in statistical terms, He generally range from 0 to 1. If it is going to the higher side, near to 0.4 or 0.5, then we can say that the species is having enough genetic diversity level. If it is near to zero or 0.1 or 0.2, it means that the species is having or pretend to having the low genetic diversity. And in that case, if the species is having low genetic diversity, then we have to have conservation measures to make it and to implement the conservation measure to protect its populations. Otherwise, it can be wiped out through the genetic bottleneck effect, habitat fragmentation effect, or through deforestation activity, or through climate change activity, or maybe due to the abiotic factor like heat, temperature, rainfall pattern. So these kind of scenario will be there for the smaller set of population or smaller set of genetic diversity in existing if existing in a particular population. For effective species survivals, we need to have practical application and studies like the species distribution modeling. We have to use tend to use the molecular marker techniques. So if you see one of the examples of the mapping the genetic diversity of Grevillea robusta. So since Grevillea robusta is exotic in our country, but through this diversity mapping, you can see here uh, we have mapped this in the region of Punjab, some parts of Haryana, and Uttarakhand. So mostly it will cover the Tribe Hava regions or uh, uh, of these Shivalik hills in Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, or Uttarakhand. You can see here first, second, third, fourth. So these are basically the gene pools existing for this species, and you can see here expected heterozygosity level. So generally range from 0.27 to 0.37, and these are the high or biodiversity risk center for this species, particularly in the Hoshiarpur region, and then somewhat in the near to the Paonta Sahib of the this Haryana region, and then we have this scenario here near to the means in Uttarakhand near to the Vikas Nagar region. So you can see here these are the high diversity risk center, and uh, uh, these green ones, particularly in the Rudraprayag region or some parts in the Hardwar region, are very low in the diversity level. Again, when we use different statistical tools, you can see the four gene pools coming out, or four different kind of population setup will be present, belonging to different regions: Punjab, Uttarakhand Garhwal, Uttarakhand Kumaon, and Himachal Pradesh. So all these kind of things could be happen only when we have a population genetics laid over the spatial distribution maps, right? So these are the scenario, and you can see here how these are the structurally correlated. So tend to give you more idea or more visualized form of the populations which need a more focus or conservation point of uh, view, right? So in here we have some definitions like eco distribution, geospatial data, categorical data. So you can see here, eco distribution is referred to the forest-based ecosystem where the species is presently distributed. The study has been undertaken to evaluate the habitat ecology, distribution pattern, and association of forest genetic resources with abiotic factors. Right. So in this bio 1, bio 2, bio 3, geospatial data, altitude, latitude, longitude, it have factors, solar radiations, water vapor, and other so many parameters are involved to measure the eco distribution of a particular species. Geospatial data will provide you the latitude, longitude, altitudes. Basically, we when we get these geospatial data, we know the address of a particular species, where it was or it is presently located. Then we have a categorical data, forest type map and forest cover map. So these are basically generated on the basis of the satellite imagery data, right? Again, we have a KGCC maps like Köppen-Geiger climatic classification maps. So you can see here that is German-Russian climatologist Vladimir Köppen in 1884, and then modified by Köppen in around 1918 and 1936. And then again, these climatologist Rudolf Geiger modified it during new at the down of 20th century, and then we get the Köppen-Geiger climatic classification types. Like five main groups are A, B, C, D, E: tropical, dry, temperate, continental, and polar. And in the under these categories, we have n number of categories. Around 25 to 29 categories are here, representing the global climatic scenario of of uh, um, of a of a world, right? So uh, these maps are also assist in knowing where the particular species future lies near, and it could be introduced for the betterment or for the survival of that particular species, or for the introduction of species for timber purpose, for biomass purpose, or for any kind of fruit yielding, if it is a horticultural crops or maybe some agriculture crops. So this system will assist in carrying out those kind of introductions. Now, Sentinel-2 is a basic satellite generally launched by the European Space Agency, right? Operates in sun-synchronous orbit with a 5-day repeat cycle. So you can download the data from the Earth Explorer websites, right? It is having 13 spectral band ranging from visible and near infrared to short-wave infrared wavelengths along a 290-kilometer orbital swath. So this is basically the remote sensing and GIS work which we tend to carry out. And uh, we can see here that it is Sentinel-2 is having 13 spectral band, and we have a different kind of bands at different wavelengths. And with each wavelengths, different kind of things are there for vegetation characterization, because our goal is to vastly to find out which forest type is having different kind of vegetations. So this generally we will use, right? And other bands are for different purposes like cloud screening and atmospheric corrections. So on the basis of these 13 bands, we taken into consideration around 3 band plus in near infrared wavelength band to carry out the land use land cover map of a particular uh, state or particular district. And these LULC map will be used in the further in the modeling exercise. So you can see here one national program for conservation and development of forest genetic resources was launched way back in year 2020 in India, at the global means at the national level, right? And FRI Dehradun is having around 50 species, targeted species from the jurisdiction areas of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. So we have to map these genetic resources from the not only from the forest areas but also from the tree outside forest, which are particularly present in the roadside plantation, avenue plantations, or agroforestry systems, or plantation governed by the state forest department. So these kind of things we are taking into considerations. So similarly, this is for the arid forest research institute. They have to carry out the target of 25 species across Gujarat and Rajasthan. Shimla, HFRA Shimla has to carry out all these activities for the Himalayan species, around 25 species in Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh Union Territory, and Himachal Pradesh. RFRI Jorhat has to contribute to the state of northeastern states, including this Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Assam, right? And IFP Ranchi has to contribute to the states of Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Odisha. So all these scenario will happen for the northern India, in which lead institute is our Forest Research Institute. Similarly, for the southern India or central India, lead institute is Institute of Forest Genetics and Tree Breeding, Coimbatore, and they are particularly doing all these exercise across these states at the national levels. So you can see here, these are the sampling methodology or methodology device while we carrying out those exercise in way back in 2016, where that Sentinel data was not available, and from 2018-19 onwards this was available. But when we use them or devise the methodology, then it was on the basis of Landsat 8 image, which is having higher resolution, a lower resolution as comparison to the Sentinel, which is having 30-meter resolutions. So we give all these glimpse of the methodology, and field testing of methodology has been done in 2016 in Rajasthan Tiger Reserve in Uttarakhand region. And then we have the brainstorming to discuss all these methodologies with the important scientists or foresters of nearby to our national institutes or from different regions, and they all give us the suggestions, and then after those suggestions we will implement all these data. So uh, first and foremost thing is the collection of the data. So collection of the data is the that you can go with the global distribution of a scenario from the global biodiversity information facility. You can get the data of these species. Working plans of the state forest department, you can get the data. Research papers will also assist you in providing the database, because most of the research paper from 2010 onwards is having the geospatial or distribution maps or the latitude, longitude, altitude in their means material methodology. And similarly, we have a botanical survey of India, and which is having the regional center across the globe, in which they are having these kind of herbarium specimens. So these herbarium specimen at least give you the earlier herbarium specimen do not have the latitude, longitude, altitude, but from 2002 or 2005 onwards, the herbarium specimen is having the latitude, longitude, altitude. But before that, the herbarium specimen is having the locations, and that locations you will, if we geolocate in a particular map, then it will give you out the latitude, longitude, altitude of a particular species. So these things you can be heavily rely on. So you can see here the final methodology we will devise, and it will depend upon three things: sampling, data collection and processing, data analysis and result processing, final results, and map generations. So one by one, I will go into the details. So if you see, the database and variable selections is the first and foremost criteria, in which we have a geo coordinates of the around 26 tree species in Uttarakhand, right? You can see here. And from literature's review, Botanical Survey of India, working plans of the State Forest Department, research paper, National Forest Library, Information Center, systematic discipline, botany discipline, FRI Dehradun, and from field-based survey 2016 to 2012, we have a final geo coordinates. We will get the geo coordinates of around 26 tree species. So this is the totally the field-based exercise, as well as the means literature review-based exercise, from which we get the final geo coordinates. Right. Second exercise we have to done in our geospatial laboratory, in which we have to download the 19 bioclimatic data, and world climate database is there, from which these are the open access data and freely available. So 19 bioclimatic data, direct normal irrigations, water vapor and wind, and other factors around soil layer is there. Sentinel 2A2B satellite imagery, in which we have carried out the uh, uh, digital image processing or supervised image classification, and generate the LULC map of the Uttarakhand, right? From similar different sources, Cartoset 1, digital elevation model, we generate the altitude slope aspect data. So all these data which is present on the right side will be generated uh, through the means computational program or computational analysis. And in the second phase, uh, if you see here in the second parts, study area probably sapling site in northwestern India. So you can see here different kind of survey activity will be carried out in the forest areas of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, right? So we get different kind of data scenario, and that data could be easily placed on the maps of a particular states. For the ground survey, we required latitude, longitude, altitude aspects. Some morphological parameters we tend to record, like DBH, TH, tree height, canopy cover, disease incidences, insect pest incidences, for the forest resource mapping or the health of a forest ecosystem of a species. So you can see here different kind of latitude, longitude, altitude from different Kanasar Chakrata Forest Division, species Rhododendron arboreum. So different kind of sampling activities are also carried out along with our activities. And similarly, for the Texas Valenciana, you can see here high altitude mountains of the Uttarakhand. And sampling methodology, site selection, recording of data. So what are the basic features we need to be assessed. So 100 to 150 meter in the forest area and 300 to 400 meter in the linear transit will be important for the data recording. If it is a means landscape is like plain, then we have around 300 400 meter. But if we, landscape is means having some topographical changes like altitude, slope, aspects is there, so 100 to 150 meter is enough to carry out the sampling activities. So you can see here some Google Maps, preliminary maps we have prepared to carry out all those activities. Similarly, at the times, species level identifications will be carried out to know the means how the species looks like leaf samples, bark, full. If the species having the seed, then we have to record its all morphotypes, right? So some records we will be able to achieve in which we have a tree girth measurement records in case of different species like Tamarindis indica, Imli, Terminalia arjuna arjun. Very big trees are present along the roadsides. In the second part, data analysis and result processing. Now we have a land use land cover map, cartoset and altitude, slope, and aspects, and then we have a final geo coordinates, right? So when we get the data, then we have to prepare the CSV file, separated file to carry out the multicollinearity test, right? Multicollinearity test means there are, for example, 27 variables which we are using to carry out the mapping exercise. But out of these 27 variables, only 10 or 11 variables are most suitable to map the entire range of the distribution of species. It means we have to remove the remove the cross correlated variables. Means if two variables are very common, out of those two we have to choose only one. So these are actually applied through the SPSS software, in which we have to carry out the Carl Pearson correlation coefficient testing, and then we will remove all those variables, right? So after removing all these variables, we use 70% of the data sets to perform the Maxent model. Generally, Maxent model for the heavy data run in around 3 to 4 hours, or otherwise it will be finishing in within a 1 hour and 2 hours. So all these exercises will produce these kind of data sets like AUC curves, jackknife test, response curves, and these are the predicted output. Its distribution range is 0 to 1. Again, uh, we have to use the forest and non-forest layer. Non-forest area exclude from the prediction output. You can see here that this is the land use land cover map of Uttarakhand, and then we have to lay this land use land cover map of Uttarakhand over this to remove the exaggerated output of a particular species. So digital elevation model was used to limit prediction within the altitudinal range. That afterwards non-forest area will be excluded from the prediction output, and then from the means the map, we have to use the these 30% remaining points to verify for the ground truthing, and again do the carry out the post classification changes, and the final eco distribution output will be produced in the form of map as well as in the quantified form in the area occupancy under the particular species. So you can see here multicollinearity test, DMS degree minute second to degree decimal format. We have to convert this via this formula. Species occurrence geo coordinates, latitude and longitude conversion to comma separated value CSV files. You can see here the procedure, and these are the set of bioclimatic variables generally we used here. Only 22 variables are mentioned, but nowadays it will go beyond 31 or 32. So different sets of variables representing the temperature range, precipitation range, precipitation in the wettest month or quarter, temperature range in the wettest quarter, driest quarter. So these kind of bioclimatic variable scenario is present all over the globe, and which can be used to predict the distribution range of a particular species, right? So similarly, when we are using the from the CSV file, we generate these kind of data, pixel value data of a particular set of species, and then do the cross correlation analysis in the SPSS software. So you can see here, correlate with bivariate analysis, and it will give you this kind of window, and all these variables will be selected and then falls under this window. You can see here all previously in this window and now onwards in this window, and afterwards we get the results output, right? And from these results output we have to select the important variables. Now, results and interpretation. So, mapping scheme is basically based upon the ecological factors in which the species is present, and that survey and sampling exercise will assist in finalizing those bioclimatic variables which are important to designate the habitat distribution of a particular species. So we have a confusion matrix derived classification accuracy measures, right? So you can see here there are n number of accuracy measures are writing here, and generally all values range from 0 to 1, in which higher side value overall accuracy will provide you the glimpse that the model is suitably run for a particular set of species. It is having very low error rate. So you can see here confusion matrix. If you have dealt with in your managerial courses, then we have a predicted class or actual classes. Actual classes means positive or negative, or predicted class become like positive or negative. If actual class is positive and results is also positive, then we have a true positive. When we have an actual class is positive but predicted class is negative, means the species is present while taking the ground point, but it is not showing in the result output, then we have a negative, then it is false negative, kind of, it is a kind of error, type second error, when actually the species was not present on the ground, but prediction shows it is present on the ground. So it is a kind of false positive error. Again, it is a type first error. And then when again species is not present in the ground and predicted shows also it is negatively, then true negative. So precision's negative prediction value, accuracy, specificity, sensitivity is there to determine different values. And you can see here specificity, sensitivity, false positive, false negative rate, and these are kind of accuracy measures are there to statistically analyze your data sets whether the model for a particular species runs very good or not. So generally, these are the values: area under receiver operating characteristic curve, and kappa particle is there. Normalized mutual information and true skill statistics is there. So some measures are giving quite scenario, like if AUC is greater than 0.9, then the model run was very good, right? And kappa is equal to 0.614, then there is substantial agreement of the model run. Generally, value range from -1 to +1. +1 is in the higher side. Excellent or perfect agreement. Normalized mutual information again ranges from 0 to 1. One revealed present substance is perfectly predicted. Similarly, true skill statistics. So these are the different kind of classification accuracy measures in which you can judge your model output. If your model is falling more on these values, particularly near to the 1 range or 0 above to 0.5 or 0.6 range, then your model is perfect, and you will be able to achieve the targets of the ground in which a species is suitably modeled for a particular set of bioclimatic factors. Again, if you see, this is the quantified data and this is the qualitative data analysis of that particular model. So AUC curve is there, area under receiver operating characteristic curve is there, so it is showing the 0.943. So again, it is on the higher side. This red line under these blue uh, spectrum is near to the 0.91 scale, and if it is close to 1, then it is showing the perfect relationship of the model. Similarly, for the species like Quercus semicarpifolia, this is the jackknife test. and jackknife test again showing the variables of the more importance and variable of the lesser importance. So it might be possible that in case of this species, slope is not showing the very good effect of this habitat run, whereas altitude, bioclimatic 6 or bioclimatic 7 are the perfect file for the modeling of this species, and that scenario is again represented by these response curve. So again, from the model we will get the a different kind of value like percentage contribution and permutation importance, and percentage contribution will determine how much a particular variable will affect the model performance. So you can see here annual temperature range bio 7 and bio 14 is contributing around 60% of the model output. If you combine all these sums, then it is 100%, and 60% of the model output is coming from the bio 7 and bio 14. So these are the two important factors which are determining the species distribution range in the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand, right? So these are the things which we can predict or precipitate out from these outputs. Prediction map of Carcass semicarpifolia is looking like this, and you are seeing that the value of 0 and value of 1. So 1 means higher side where it is actually the species present. Then 0.91 to 1 is the highly suitable habitats of the species, right? And near to 0.55 or 0.64 are the generally suitable habitats, means species can go beyond these range, but in near future, not up to date or till now, right? So it is the means kind of future scenarios when we compare it with the future climatic data. So you can see here the eco-distribution map of Quercus semicarpifolia. These are the point used to run the model, point used for the validation, and this yellow one shows actually the eco-distribution maps of a particular species. So you from these maps you are clear that from the Rudraprayag or in the Bageshwar region or somewhat in the Pithoragarh region, the species flourish more in comparison to the Nainital or Pauri, or maybe in the near to this junction of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, particularly in the Chakrauta region or Uttarkasi, Harki-Dun Valley, near to Harki-Dun Valley. And you can see here in the plane map, this is the earlier one is the satellite map, Sentinel map, and this one is the plane map of Carcass semicarpifolia. Afterwards, we have to take how much the species will cover a particular area, right? So you can see here out of 13 districts of Uttarakhand, the species falls in around each and every districts in 9 districts of Uttarakhand, and in 9 districts, highest area occupancy is covered by the Chamoli and lowest by the Nainital, right? And a total of 832.40 kilometer will be each existing for this species in Uttarakhand, which is around 1.56% of the geographical cover or 3.43% of the forest cover. So this picture actually gives you the brief idea about this particular species in the state of Uttarakhand. Generally, we do not have this kind of data for data scenario in the forest ecosystem of our country. Nowadays, with the advent of these remote sensing and GIS tool, with the help of modeling tools, we can actually estimate or predict these areas. Although we are not mentioning that we are 100% correct in reporting these areas, but we are maybe around 90 to 95% accurate based upon our sampling exercise, based upon the use of tools and techniques device. So it might be possible that it is around 800 plus 32 minus 32, maybe around 800 square kilometer of this species in Uttarakhand is existing till date. So if we would like to see that we would want to increase or enhance the area cover under this forestry species, then we have to think in that manner. Similarly, this is for the Quercus semicarpifolia. We are mapping for the other species also. This one is the KGCC map of Quercus semicarpifolia in Uttarakhand, and again it will showing the CWB climate type, and it again showing the means temperate to alpine zone of a country. That this species is falling in the temperate to alpine zone of a country. Similarly, we have predicted for the Eugenia eugenesis, Bombyx siva, Quercus glauca, Betula utilis. You can see the mountainous ecosystem in which Betula utilis generally existed above 3000-meter altitude. So, altitudinal gradient and climate type distribution maps of the species will be formed on the basis of subclassification type, subtropical, temperate, or subalpine type of climatic system. And you can see here subalpine species map. Abies spectabilis, Betula utilis, Rhododendron arbor, Quercus semicarvifolia. So all are showing in different parts of the Uttarakhand region. Results writing and interpretations. So global and regional species distribution scenario is very important while pursuing all these kind of goals for a particular species. Ecological and economic importance of a particular species is very important. Threat perceptions, when we are carrying out the ground survey, we ask to the local peoples or we ask to the forest manager that what are the threat or what are the means different causing factor and declining the species health in a particular ecosystem. Key hypotheses and questions that need to be addressed based upon your survey data, based upon your theoretical or analytical reasoning. HDM species distribution matter most. Why? So, why this is very important? As you know, one of the answer I already given to you that for understory tree species, it is one of the best method. But beyond this method, some other methods are also available. Can we have ensembling approach for those data sets? So that is the questions need to be answered for in near future. Habitat suitability predicted by variables. So how much we can rely on these bioclimatic data which are present for the global distribution scenario, and now we are taking that into cognizance of a particular species. Now, again, climatic influence on a species, particularly related to their phenology, their reproduction ability, their seed formation, and their synchronous or asynchronous mode of flowering. uh, Eighth one is gene ecological aspects of species current scenario. How we can carry out the genetic diversity and association studies with the spatial mapping of the distribution. So, based upon all these exercise from 2016 to 2022, we can rely that we are generating around 85% accurate maps for a tree species. Now, since this data is not available for different species, so at least baseline scientific data is generated at our institutes. Ground-based observation data collection helps in assessing the effect of climate change and future prediction of species distribution. Maybe after some times we do not visit to the forest area, but the data is available with us, and the new researcher, new people will take this data, and based upon these data, they can predict the future climate scenario, or maybe uh, with some breaking models will be there to determine the past distribution scenario of these species also. Bioclimatic variables of importance, giving you the glimpse about the habitat suitability. Then statistical understanding of the model program is again very cumbersome or challenging. So we learn most of the things that it come to our mind directly, but some other things are also there which we cannot know whether the different algorithms are there, but since we do not have that kind of background to understand that, so we have to have interdisciplinary research for these programs. Again, computational knowledge to run these models is very important, and for the today scenario, since each researcher or each students is having the background idea of the these computational knowledge, and people working particularly on the R software, or maybe having bioinformatics will definitely have means real advantageous scope of to learn the things. So on date 13/12/2022, FGR document of 1,000 page has been launched by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, New Delhi. And you can see here Dr. Dr. H.S. Ginwal, who is the pioneer worker in the and the National Project Coordinator, is along with the secretary MOEFCC at that time, and he is near to that, and our Director General, um, uh, Dr. A.S. Rawat was also there. So output of this book is around 250 species holistic database creation, 50 species ecodistribution maps has been prepared, 100 species seed storage at the National Bureau of Forest Plant Genetic Resources. Species genetic diagnostic maps and chemical characterization of around 6 species has been achieved. 10 species is going for the in situ and ex situ conservation development protocol. Disease is recorded in FGR of Uttarakhand, and so many things are there, but major glimpses are these. So, uh, this is the significant achievement of our team at that time, and we are now focusing on the data scenario or development of eco-distribution maps of the Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. So these are some of the references which I used to prepare for this presentation. I will share this presentation with mm, Dr. Madhvi, and she will give you all these details so that you
Yes,
can
sir.
learn
I'll
more,
circulate the
more,
PPT among the group.
more about these things. And we are very, very thankful to our Campa Authority, Compensatory Afforestation Management, from the who give us the funds to carry out all these research activity. Uttarakhand State Forest Department to give us the logistic and to assist in different forest range of Uttarakhand. Director ICFRE and FRI, and Head Genetics and Tree Improvement. Dr. HB Nathani, you can see here, he is at that time 75 years of age. So he moved up to at around 3,800 meter in the Harkidun Valley. So he's he's one of the pioneer researcher in the taxonomy field in our country. More than 120 books he has written, and around 280 publications he has given to the means society. So he has means he's now 82 a year old, and he's working well with us, and hopefully he could work more so that we can learn with him. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much, sir. On the behalf of everyone, I just want to say a big thank you for delivering such a thought-provoking and insightful lecture.
If there is any question, you may ask.
Okay, so participant, we will open the chat box. You can drop your question or queries in the chat box and interact with the sir.
If you have any queries related to this topic, and particularly pertaining to our field of research, you can ask or drop the questions in the mailbox also. My mail is already available with Just Agriculture. So uh, uh, please circulate that mail to the participants. And if
Yes,
they
sure,
would
sir.
like to learn the things, then we will definitely assist them.
Sure, sir. What is the, someone is writing, what is the scope of remote sensing and GIS in agriculture?
Actually, the field of remote sensing and GIS is particularly specialized for not only for the means forestry, but earlier it came into the foray for the health sector, and then definitely it boosts the large scale application in the agriculture sector, and afterwards only it will be introduced in the forestry sector when it is giving you the glimpse of agriculture sectors. Because in the agriculture sector, when we have to map the resources, whether the health system of the rice, wheat, maize, or any other agriculture crops, we have a very, very small landscape as comparison to the forest. So we can map the scenario, and we have a means day-to-day activities. And in the remote sensing, through the remote sensing and GIS, we will assess the prediction of a particular crop, that how much it will be able to produce in near 6 months of time or 6 months of the rotation period, because it has to be means complete its life cycle within a span of 6 months or 3 months for in case of vegetable. So 3 months, if you are looking in the different satellite images or the picture, then you can give and then you will get the idea whether if it is rainfall is heavy, then we get this much of ripening of the fruits, or if this much ripening of the yield. So these the because each and every crops each having different kind of means wavelength scenario is there for a particular set of remote sensing data. So remote sensing data will sense a particular color for a particular species, and then it will be easy to achieve the means getting the fair bit of idea about the agriculture. Similarly, it will be having the lot more scope in the case of monsoonal prediction of the monsoonal rainfall, or any kind of cyclone. As you already know that we are now much more aware when these kind of means disaster happen, we are already well prepared for these. So this data is means more showing the more consistent performance nowadays.
They are writing like nice presentations, sir, very informative.
Thank you very much. We will definitely try to gain the knowledge and disseminate that to different peoples who are associated in different agriculture fields, or in the forestry field, or in the health sector. And definitely, we will try to learn from you, and we will take up those challenges.
Shri Sharan is writing nice informative session, sir. Thank you very much. And they are asking for the PPT, sir.
Yes,
So,
I will share right now this PPT to
okay,
you, and you
okay,
will
sir.
share this with the participants.
Yes,
And
sir.
I
I'll
think.
circulate among the groups.
Mhm.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Yes, you can avail the training related to RS and GIS. You can see Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, that is based on the Dehradun. So they have online program, as well as they have those kind of means practical session learning, right? So you can see their website, and there are n number of courses they are launching nowadays, right? From different sector, like electric factors, if it is from the soil ecologist, if it is a forestry sector, then ecology, then if it is in the means ocean sector, if it is in the image learning process like lidar or hyperspectral remote sensing. So you can just go to the website of Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, and they are launching very beautiful courses from there. And we also learn from them there only. In 2014 or 15, I have joined their NNRMS course now, and beside that I have carry out 1 month or 2 month training program, online training program with them to learn the things.
I think, sir, they are done with the queries. I can't
Okay.
see any more.
Okay.
So, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for giving your time and delivering such a thought-provoking lecture, sir.
I also thankful to the means to you, Dr. Madhvi, and to your team, Dr. Avinash, and who invited us to deliver this talk to the Just Agriculture. I believe that with this interactive sessions, we definitely enhance or boost our knowledge in the forestry field as well as in the agriculture field, and we will make our country great. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, participants, I would like to welcome our next guest,
I'm leaving
Devendra
meeting.
Kumar. Yes, sir.
I'm leaving the meeting. I'm leaving the
Okay,
meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
sir. Okay.
Thank you.
So, I would like to welcome our next guest, Devendra Kumar, sir, CEO of Press Today. So, I would like to share some introductory part of his. So, he has rich experience in retail and FMCG sales and marketing, FMCG channel management, business development, sourcing, buying, and brand management. He has a turnaround specialist in goal setting, vision contributing towards the entire restructuring and direction towards retail projects, transforming the organization to an international MNC and lateral business, increasing profitability, driving sales growth, and launching franchise concepts. He has proven track record for delivering a high growth and with an entrepreneurial bent of mind, channel strategic technology enabled innovation, product development for the global markets, streamlining the processes and sustaining a teamwork environment to enhance overall productivity. His exposure to retail training across the Europe, South Africa, Middle Eastern countries, worked in business companies across India, Oman, Qatar, Iran, and UAE. And he has an adaptable and inclusive leader whose ability to operate at pace and build strong relationships enables to transformational change. So I welcome you, sir, here. Over to you, sir. Sir, you're not audible.
Madhvi, I think you had a long session. Do you want to take a break or continue?
No, sir, we can continue.
Okay. Is my screen audible, visible, sir?
Sir, we can see your screen presentation.
Right. Thank you. So, thank you for the introduction, Madhvi. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And this is my third session with Just Agree. And I think we are continuing to build the relationship. So, friends, today the topic of my presentation is about giving you an understanding of retail, and then the skills required to become a good retailer, and the various functions of retailing, opportunities in retailing, and the retailing in India and abroad. So, with us, we'll quickly move into the presentation. So, if you before even getting into retail, I would like you people to understand the chat. Somebody has raised a hand. Yes, please.
Sir, in the last, we will have their queries.
Okay. Shall we do handle this in the end?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
In the chat
So,
box, then they can have their queries and interaction with you.
yeah. So I have session at the end, so you can please keep all these queries for the end. We will definitely answer all those queries as much as possible. So before we get into understanding retail, I would like all of you to go through this channels of distribution where the goods from factory or from the farm, the fresh produce from the farm move towards customer. So if you understand this, then we will understand retailing better. So if you look at goods or or a produce or an agriculture produce or a fruit and vegetable is produced at factory. From factory or a farm, it goes to the mandi, or in a FMCG sector, it goes through warehouse, and from warehouse it goes to distributor, and from distributor and wholesale it goes to retail, which is offline and online, and finally it reaches the customer. So this is the journey of goods, journey of produce from farm or factory to the customer. So if you look at understand this, so retail is at the edge of the channel before customer. So that's why Retail is a customer facing industry, customer facing activity. So with that understanding, if you look at retail as it is defined here, it's a distribution process which all activities involved in selling the merchandise directly to the final consumer. That's the key difference between all other activities, all other channels versus retail. In French, this is actually French word. It's called retailer, which means breaking the entire thing into pieces, or cutting into pieces, or breaking the bulk, which is it is actually breaking the bulk into single units. This is about retail. So there are two types of retailing, which is now modern retailing and traditional retailing. Modern retailing, as all know, which is they are also called organized retail, which are the discount stores, hypermarkets, supermarkets, department stores, specialty stores. Now the plethora of retail formats have come in. So modern retailing is about that, and then traditional retailing, they're also called corner retailing, mom and pop stores, which are the traditional old retail stores which are there. But though it is traditional retailing, the size of the market is very big if you look at traditional retailing. What are different types of retail outlets? So in the modern retailing, what are the different types of retail outlets? You all know supermarkets, which is, if you look at in India, more Reliance, Smart, and all of this form under supermarkets. We are also a supermarket chain. I had a supermarket chain based out of Chennai. It's called Fresh Today. And hypermarkets, you can see Spar as a hypermarket, Reliance as a hypermarket, and More has a hypermarket. So there are multiple hypermarkets where the size of categories, size of the storage much bigger. Then we have departmental stores, which is like Shopper Stop, Lifestyle, all of that. And then apparel stores, which sells clothing, discount stores, which are like DMart, wholesale clubs. In India, we have Metro and we had cash and carry outlets, and specialty stores, which is music stores, furniture stores, all of that. And now e-tailers, that is e-commerce, which is really gaining faster space in terms of retailing. So how does India look? Indian retailing scenario look? Indian retail is actually industry in India ranks fourth in the world in terms of size, and it contributes 10% of the overall GDP of the country, which is very sizable. And retail industry in India is estimated to grow at 10% plus. This line, I want you people to look at it, and it's an opportunity as well as a threat. So 91% of the Indian retail is still with the unorganized or traditional retail. Only balance 9% is with the organized retail, so-called corporate companies, so-called chains. 9% is there. In that 9%, 6.3 with the offline retail and 2.4 with the e-commerce. So this also is a huge opportunity for organized retail to grow. I will also share world retail and then European retail, so you understand what is the size of the market, how there is a big opportunity for new players as well as people like the students like you to enter into retail. This will all help you to understand. And one more number to know is 9% of people are employed in retail sector, both in traditional and organized. And one good story I just reading through a BCG matrix, BCG report. It says India would touch $2 trillion in terms of retail with a growth rate of 9 to 10% in coming decade, which is really very big. So next we talk about the market size and how, as I told you, look at this three graphs. 2013 traditional market, traditional retail was at 98.4%, and which was around 300 US billion dollar. Then 2019, the traditional retail traditional retail has come down, and organized retail from 1.6 has moved to 4%, and e-commerce just started taking shape, which is 0.3%. Look at 2024 now. Now the modern retail has grown to 6.3%, and the jump in 5 years is your e-commerce, which is e-retailing, which is around 2.3%. So if you look at the swing, 98% traditional retail moved to 91% moved down, and the gain is both in the traditional modern retail and e-commerce. But this is one thing which is actually, I would say, both good. Also, it's threatening to the organized modern retailers. So, e-commerce, the jump of e-commerce from $1.9 billion in 2019 to $18.2 billion. It's a growth, a CAGR growth of 57% in 5 years. So this throws a lot of opportunity. And then now, if you look at recent articles, there is so much of investment which has got pumped into e-commerce, also into quick commerce. Now, e-commerce has moved to quick commerce. The delivery in 9 minutes, under 10 minutes, 14 minutes, and kind of like that. So we have seen what is retailing, types of retailing. We also would like, I also want you to throw a light on how global perspective of retailing is. So when you people are international students or want to employ abroad, this is also a very good opportunity. So the global retail industry is valued at 27.3 trillion, which is 2,156 lakh crores. And it is growing at 5.3, whereas India is growing at 10%. So the Indian growth story is much better than the world. But modern retail in the global space is 70% versus India 7% or 9%. And unorganized retail is around 30% globally. In India, it is around still 90%. So India will grow, and each shares into traditional retail also will be part of the growth story. Whereas Middle East is around 45% in terms of modern retail. But Dubai, where I worked in my last stint, Dubai's modern retail contribution is 80% plus, so which is very high. Africa is one more opportunity for retailers, which is the modern retail share is only at 10%. So we have seen the global perspective. We also I also want you to understand the top retailers in the world. So Walmart, where I worked some 10 years back, is the number one retailer in the world. It's a US company. Costco, again, number two in the world, which is also a US company. Kroger, also a US company. Amazon, all of you know, I think should know about Amazon, which has come to India now. It's in the retail. They are even in retail, modern retail, or in entire retail space, in the e-commerce. Amazon has become in the top five, and Lidl is a discounter, which is really it's a German company which is really doing well and focusing more on discounts and private labels. And these are other companies. Walgreens is a pharmaceutical company. Home Depot is a building material company, which is also in the top 10. Aldi is again a German discounter, which is present in 18 countries, having $98 billion sale. Tesco is a UK retailer, but one information for you people: Tesco has a tie-up in India with Tata, and in India they opened a concept called Star Bazaar. So there's a tie-up between Tesco UK and Indian Tata company, and they're opening stores called Star Bazaar. And Carrefour is a French retailer, which is predominantly in Europe and Middle East. These are about top 10 retailers globally. And top 10 Indian retailers, Reliance is already number one, which is actually crossing 2 lakh crores annual turnover with multiple formats in food and grocery, in electronics, in hypermarkets, in supermarkets, in apparels. So they are into multi-format, multi-industry, multi-concept. They are already 2 lakh crores. And DMart, like Aldi and Lidl in Europe, DMart in India, DMart does close to now they're already crossed 50,000 crore plus. It's a pure discounter which offers clear value to the customer. And Aditya Birla Retail, which is into fashion retail, Shopper Stop in departmental stores. The Trent, which I told you, Star Bazaar, which is a joint venture between Tata Group and Tesco. V-Mart, which is there in north and west part of India. Chroma and more supermarkets, which is a supermarket chain. And then in e-commerce, now there is a huge rush of e-commerce and quick commerce guys. Amazon, Flipkart, Big Basket, Snapdeal, Myntra, Zeptos, Instamart. So there is a plethora of e-commerce companies, which I showed you the growth of e-commerce from nowhere to huge stakes, and then they will continue to grow, which will actually offer convenience to the customer on the quick time, and then you can shop most of the items at a click of a button. So I've done, because I'm based out of Chennai, I've done a small research on Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has all of these stores, which is including us. I will brief about our company at a later stage. These are the various companies like More, KPN, Reliance, Grace, Spar, and DMart. And I've given a complete understanding of South Indian retail, which has the supermarket base, which has sales numbers, all of that. So even the family retail company, we are getting organized and professionals. A company like Ratnadeep has 135 stores with an average of 80 lakhs per store sale. And of course, the Reliance is really making high and then doing very well. So we have understood international market, international retailing, and Indian retailing, various companies in retailing, various formats in retailing. I would love go a little deep into each retail company, how each retail company operates, what are the various opportunities for young people like you or entrepreneurs who are part of this program. And I will also dwell a little deep on the agri retailing. So a typical organization chart in a retail company would look like this: board at the helm of affairs, and CEO like me at the top of the functions, executive functions. So look at the third row. These are the various functions in retail which you will have opportunities if you are applying for a retail jobs. So buying and merchandising, which this function I will detail about this function in coming slides. Supply chain, the goods movement from the warehouse to stores to the customer. Operations, which runs the stores. This is front end store operations. Marketing department, finance, HR, and information technology. So these are various functions which I told you. We will spend little time on each of these functions, and then so that you know what these functions are. Madhvi, I'm okay in terms of speed. Shall I slow down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So, friends, coming back to retail and how retail is functioning. So, buying and merchandising is the function where the team, this function actually does the complete buying for the supermarket. They are about buying what to buy, how much to buy, how to display. All of this is part of the buying team. Basically, if you look at a supermarket kind of business, they would go to the catchment or the location where the supermarket is placed. They will understand the catchment, understand the profile of customer, and understand the dynamics and their shopper behavior, and they will buy the products which are more relevant to that catchment. And how much to buy, what to buy, how to negotiate better margins, how to merchandise. Merchandising means how to display the product. If you got n number of categories, putting those categories in the right place to display better, to communicate better, to improve the displays, they take care of this. So this department is called buying and merchandising in India. World over, it is called commercial department. The second function is operations function. This is about managing the stores. In this, it is completely about the supermarket or the hypermarket, physical stores or the online stores, dark stores management. Basically, from store executive to store manager to the operations to the setting up of the store to displaying to make store ready, inviting customers, talking to customers, doing customer service, billing, everything comes under operations. This is a very critical function in retail because it is a customer facing function in the retail. And supply chain is about once the buying is done, once the purchase order is released to the various suppliers, the supply chain team takes over, right from receiving the goods to the central warehouse and warehousing it in a good practices, warehouse management systems, and supplying them to each and every store is part of it. Also, sometimes a reverse supply chain, reverse logistics also part of this. So, supply chain also holds a very important function. It's a very highly priority function to ensure that goods reach on time to all the stores in the right quantities. Finance, you understand, complete planning of right from the funds planning to funds cost management to reporting in terms of right reporting structures, management information systems, and giving the right data to the organization, looking at banking, all those major functions, major activities regarding finance will be handled by this team. And very important and department which really, because retail is a really manpower oriented, people oriented industry. So having a good HR, human resources department is very critical for a retail industry, right from having the right recruitment system, right retention models, rewarding and recruiting because it's a daily core hardworking job, ensuring that people are engaged, employees are engaged well in the organization, motivated well, trained well. Human resources department plays a very crucial role in getting good people on board, delivering good customer service and good objectives. And now, world over, now information technology is taking up a very strong position. Earlier, this used to be called as service department, service function. Now it is no more service function. It is enabling function. HR and IT are enabling functions, which enables to the business to do well. So this function has a lot of importance in terms of getting the right infrastructure, that is hardware, IT hardware, information hardware like POS systems, networking, and then applications, plus having a good software to run the entire retail operations, right from POS, right from back office, warehouse management system, finance reporting, HR reporting, and plus delivering a good MIS, good dashboards for the key decision makers in the organization to help them to take good decisions. So information technology is actually has grown multifold in terms of importance in the retail function. Right from even now, AI has also taken a good role. AI is really making good trends in space, making their felt presence very important. So AI in demand forecasting is really very important for us to have right goods, right quantity of goods at the right time. And to tell everybody about our retail story, this is about marketing department. What are the core values of the retail company? Why should customers come and shop with us? Telling that story both on offline media and digital media is about marketing. So this is the complete plethora of opportunities or functions in retail. Now, if you look at the categories in India which contribute the entire thing, food and grocery, that is the basic premise of any retail, which is contributing the major share, which is 65%. Apparels contribute 10%. Consumer durables and IT products 9%. Jewelry and accessories around 7%. Furniture around 9%. So, as I told you, So people who are part of Agri MBA or MBA, even Agri students, has opportunities in these functions, which is buying function, store operations function, quality control, marketing, store merchandising, e-commerce, and analytics, analyst, MIS team. So in each function, as I brief these functions, so what are the skills and knowledge which needs to be which you need to procure or which you need to possess for having to deliver the function or to excel in this function. So the skills and knowledge generally are this, and if I put these the overall skills or these skills into each function, so I'm mapping the skills into function so that you know if you have these skills and this knowledge, you can work in this particular function. So buying function or e-commerce procurement function, what are the skills required? So you need to have basic understanding of business, how business functions, how basic business management fundamentals, understanding of product knowledge in the categories where you work. For example, you're working for a food and grocery retailers. So understanding the food or fruits and vegetables, understanding about the product is very critical. Having, and you have to have computer literacy in terms of looking at all the computer operations, basic operations. And you should be, these two commercial and analytical skills are very critical for this function, because this function negotiates margins, negotiates with suppliers in terms of margins, other income. So this function gives the company the entire revenue, entire margin, which is very critical. So you need to have good commercial acumen and also need to be good negotiator. And communication skills are equally important, as this is the function, the mapping between buying function and the skills required. Looking at the store operations, which I told you, managing the store, managing the customer is about this. So store operations and merchandising, if I merge them together, so again, good communication skills, business management fundamentals, product knowledge, these three being common. So here, the consumer customer service orientation, the ability to serve customer, talk to customer, be with the customer, being patiently talking to customer, understanding customer and able to respond to customer requirements is a fundamental requirement. If you are not having that extroversion or good communication skills and good patience to understand, talk to customer, this function is a highly demanding function, both in physical stamina as well as patience. So this function, these are the requirements. And of course, if you want to grow in this, you need to be a good supervisor, good leader, because in every store, minimum 20 to 25 people will be there in a smaller store. In a hypermarket, it can be going up to 300 plus people in one single store. So this is also very critical function. Lot of job opportunities will be there in this. And quality control function, you all know, yes, product knowledge being there, but quality hygiene and safety knowledge and computer literacy. People from agri businesses are all also have very good opportunity to go into this function. Look at our company. When I talk about our company supermarket chain, where we buy and sell vegetables, at least I have 6 to 7 quality control guys in the team. So where they go to the wholesale shop, wholesale or to the farmers when we do procurement, we undergo a lot of quality tests so that our customer gets a good quality product. So quality control, both in the fresh produce, also in the food, is critical, and this would be a good opportunity for students like you. Then marketing, very important function, which is if you have, if you're an MBA marketing or with the creative skills, this is a this is an excellent opportunity. As I told you, business management fundamentals in terms of knowledge and marketing subject knowledge. These two are fundamental requirements for marketing function. But your communication skills, both written and oral communication skills, but it's more about creativity. How to tell your story in a creative manner, in a story building manner to the customers about your organization, about your services, is what about marketing. So if you have those skills, This is an excellent function which you can grow from small executive to the head of marketing. And now this function, analyst and executive function, is really taking up a good prominence across the industries. So understand, being able to analyze. Now there are various tools on dashboarding like Power BI, all of those, which is really taking up a good space. Analysts, if you are a good, have good analytical skills and computer literacy skills, and you are a good, have a good written communication skills, this is also having a good space. Now I will actually share. Do you have time, Madhuri? 5 more minutes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We are having.
Yeah. Now I will share a small story about us, about the company where I'm heading, which is more relevant to the present team. I will share that, and then we can have a Q&A session. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah. So this is the company I represent. This company started 2021 by the founders, whose name is Mr. Anamlai and his sons. We are a supermarket chain based out of Chennai, and started 3 years back. Now we have 22 supermarkets operating in Chennai as of now. Chennai is part of Tamil Nadu. And then we are planning to grow to I will share the expansion plan. So I've joined the business around 5 months back. We have set the strategic direction. I will share that strategic direction with all of you so that you all understand. So this is our vision. We want to become a go-to food retailer or a destination food retailer for the community we operate, renowned for our high-quality fresh produce and products which offer value, convenience, and meet everyday needs of the customer. We want to deliver the outstanding service that surpasses customer expectation. By achieving this vision, we want to support local farmers and entrepreneurs and create an environment, thriving environment for employees. This is our vision, which we started this organization, which we want to achieve in next 10 years. And this is about our mission. We want to become a leading omni-channel food retailer, offering the freshest produce and top quality food solutions, tailoring to the evolving aspirations of Indian customer. Now, I'm seeing so much of positivity and information and aspiration because the middle class is growing, the GDP is growing, GDP per capita is growing. So we want to meet the evolving aspiration of food aspirations of Indian consumer by becoming a leading omni-channel. That is, we do stores as well as e-commerce, and we advocate healthy lifestyles and authentic and also authentic local flavors. We don't want to miss the local flavors. We want to also support in terms of local flavors by empowering our employees with latest technology to enhance their skills and enrich their careers. So these are our competitive advantages. So we as I told you, supermarket, we are the best in terms of number of the choice in fruits and vegetables. So we sell close to 150 plus fruits and vegetables in our stores, which is, as far as I know, the number of SKUs, we are one of the best in the industry. So 60% of our goods in our store contribute the fruits and vegetables. So we will continue to focus on our fresh. So we directly buy from farms, and immediately they move from the harvesting from the farms to the store through our cold chain, sometimes direct chain. And then we, as I told you, we give a lot of importance to quality. We only sell the A grade product, but at the same time, though they are fresh, they are about top quality, we also would give value. We don't charge very high in terms of premium pricing. So our pricing is a value pricing, which is of good quality at an affordable price. So we continue to excel through a good service we receive our customers well, we treat them well. So our endeavor is to excel in the service also and offer a lot of good food solutions to the customer. So these would be our core competitive advantages which we want to live for. These are our values: customer centricity, integrity, innovation, teamwork, accountability, employee empowerment, and sustainability. So this year, as I've put forward, these are our Super Six initiatives for 2024. We want to communicate our core values, our competitive advantage to the customer, build the processes, build employee competencies, enhance our supply chain capabilities, new technology to be part of our omni-channel and growth, and then also create own label and innovative solutions. So from a 22 store now, we want to become a close to 100 stores in next 4-5 years and grow 5x in 4 years. From a 100 crore now to a 500 crore company in coming 4 to 5 years. That's about us. Thank you about knowing about us. So why I've put this presentation up is, so in an agri retailing or fresh food retailing, there is an immense opportunity, both for a farmer, for a student, or for a farming companies, corporate companies, or the farmers who can associate with us. Who can associate with us as well as also be part of our journey. So I welcome all of you to be part of the journey. And now we are open for question and answer session. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, participants, we have opened the chat box. You can drop down your queries or interact with sir.
Hope there are no questions. There is Shreya Bharati. She's put hand.
Gitanjali is asking, sir, how to start a retail business? What are the prerequisites for the same?
Sorry, where is this? Is there in the chat box?
Yes, sir. It is from Gitanjali.
Gitanjali. Yeah, let me open it. Okay. What is this? Sorry. It's there down. New messages. How to start a retail business? What are the prerequisites of the same? Geetanjali, good question. Retail business, first understand which market you want to enter. Look at the opportunities. Look at the competition first, in terms of which nature of business you are in. Identify a good location depending on the category of business you are in. Look at whether you have right customers, right target customers in that particular location, and have the team which I told you, who can run it. And first understand the product, understand the competition, do a SWOT analysis, LISA analysis. I can really help if you really want, if you're really looking at an entrepreneur to start. What are the motives of a company and why did you choose it? One very good question. So thank you, Shinde. Then motives of a company is to, as I told you in my vision, we want to become a destination retailer for the community where we operate in terms of food. We want to become a 500 crore chain in next 5 years, and then be a destination food retailer in the community. Also, by doing that, we support farmers, agriculture community, and ecosystem, and do it sustainably, and also work with the entrepreneurs, because we also do give franchises to entrepreneurs. Our retail is open for franchisee, and also build our employees in terms of taking up their skills. The range problem. I didn't understand. What do you mean by range problem? Anyways, so you can answer like fresh food. What are the opportunities in dried vegetable sector? Yes, dried vegetables opportunity is there, but it's a small category. Uh, Depending on the locality, depending on the likeness, dried vegetables or sun dried vegetables, there is an opportunity, but it's a small category. License required, yes, there is a trades and establishment or shops and establishment license is required. FSSA license is required to run the shops and to run the retail stores. How can begin a own retail store? I've already answered. How, sir, how can deliver fresh commodities? Because it's totally depends on demand. Yes. So delivering fresh commodities, what we do, because we are already having, we know how much is sold, how much each individual product is sold. We give the demand D-1. So for example, tomorrow I need products. I send the demand to my buying team, to our buying team, D-1, which goes to the collection center directly from the to the farmers, also from the local wholesale shops where we buy. So demand is forecasted, and from the store, basing on the sales history, sales we give the demand. Let's go to the next question. What's the next question? You have anything more? Uttam, I didn't understand the range problem. If you want to understand more, we can do it. Madhvi, anything more? Shall we call it?
Yes, sir. So participants, there is a last chance. If you have any queries, you can ask to sir. I hope so they are done with the queries.
Okay.
Gitan is writing again. Sir, is the gross margin less in grocery items? How can we make it more beneficial?
Good question. Yes, in a grocery, in the fresh produce, fruits and vegetables, our margins are a little better, but in grocery, margins are less. But margin percentage may be less because of the high turnover. You will be able to get better returns on selling grocery. So percentage may be low, but because of more sales, you will be enjoying better real gross margin or rupee gross margin. Is most of the food and grocery sector unorganized? Yes, as I told you, 90% is in the unorganized sector, 9% is in the organized sector. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Madhvi. And then the
Thank
participant.
you so much, sir. On the behalf of everyone, I just want to thank you for delivering such a knowledgeable lecture to the participants. Like I can see how can they can take interest and they are having queries with you and interact with you. So thank you so much,
All the best.
sir.
Thank you very much.
And sir, please share the PPT so I can circulate among the groups because
Yes.
participants are asking for the PPT.
Yeah, I did already do it for you. I'll do it again. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, thank you, participants. You may leave now. The sessions are over for the today. And so just to let you know, tomorrow will be the session of ADA 247. It will be in the afternoon 12 to 1. So we will drop down the messages in the groups also. But don't forget to join at 12 tomorrow. And it will be from ADA 247.